Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to talk about some of the latest changes to be announced for the new driving test, which starts on Monday the 4th of December 2017. If you haven't already seen the page on my website about the new driving test, go and check it out now. There's a whole page full of details about the changes, about the new manoeuvres, and there's lots of videos on there, including one of me driving a full-length test route, showing you what the new routes will be like. But anyway, what about this letter I had yesterday from the DVSA where they've told me some little changes I wasn't aware of? Well, there are some really important ones. The first one I'd like to mention is that they are not doing what they call a token system. Now, in the old days, let me explain what a token system is. When the driving test changed in the past, you could always say, well, I failed my test on the old one, I don't want to do the new one. You can kind of use a token, as it were, to not have to take the new test. You could say, well, I want to take the old one because I took that before. You can't do that on the new test. They've made it clear that if your pupil fails a test before the 4th of December, they will be taking the new test. Even if the test is cancelled or moved by them for any reason, like if the examiner's ill or we have snow or something like bad weather, then you'll be taking the new test if your test is put back to after the 4th of December. Now, the independent driving part of the test, we already know it's going to be including a sat-nav, but one of the things I was quite surprised about is that they've said the sat-nav is going to be turned on throughout the entire driving test. Now, you won't be following it for the whole test, you'll only be following it for about half of the test, about 20 minutes, but it will actually be turned on throughout the entire test and the screen will be on. The sound may not be, but the screen will be. Quite interestingly as well, they've said that they're not going to be attaching it to the windscreen, they're going to be putting it on the dashboard. They've got these special mats you can get, so you can put the sat-nav on a mat and it will just sit on top of the dashboard. Now that's probably because they don't want to risk them keep falling off the windscreen, and it's quite annoying for instructors if you have to keep having different sat-navs stuck to your windscreen, that kind of thing, because you can leave marks on the window. But yeah, so that's a couple of things that I didn't know about before. Now also, I did know about this, but I haven't mentioned this too much. 1 in 5 driving tests won't use a sat-nav. So for 1 in 5 tests, they'll just say to you, can you just follow road signs for Birmingham or wherever you're going to go. So that's the main differences with the sat-nav. Now I should update you as well that they have said they're not going to be using traffic alerts, because these sat-navs they have, which will be a TomTom Start 52, they're not going to be using the traffic on them, because to do that you have to link it to a smartphone, and they're not going to be doing that on tests. Another thing I'd like to mention is that this is going to take away the chance of people memorising test routes, because when sat-navs take you on a route, they alter the route based upon past performance. So what that means is you might pull up in the same place as your friend did, and you might think, oh, I've got the same route my friend had, but the sat-nav will actually take you a different way, because it works out, the sat-nav kind of learns the roads as it gets older and as it gets used more, and it learns which routes are better than others based upon which ones actually get you there sooner. So the test routes will be changing pretty much on every test, will be quite different. The DVSA have also said that you don't have to practice this using the same sat-nav. Now this is quite important, because in my car I've got a built-in sat-nav which won't be the same as the one that the examiner uses. I probably will get one of those anyway. You can actually get it on your phone for free, so it's quite easy to get, but you don't have to have the exact same one. But if you are interested, they're going to be using a TomTom Start 52. Another thing they've said about the sat-nav, because the big problem we had with this with the trials, if you wonder why, I should point out this without going off point too much. A lot of people keep leaving comments on my videos that I did before saying, how come you keep saying this test is coming in 2015? You've got the year wrong, don't you know what year it is? Yes, I do know what year it is. Those videos were filmed 2 years ago. I've been taking part in the trial, so I've been doing this test for the last 2 years. It's not new to me at all. Now, one of the problems we had with the trials of these was that the batteries kept running out on the sat-nav. They only last for about 1 hour, which isn't very good at all when you're going to be doing 6 or 7 hours of tests a day. So what they've done now is they've actually decided, instead of plugging it into the car, because we tried that and they had problems with the power cord kept coming out or kept getting wrapped around the gear stick, and it was just very messy. They've now announced they're going to be using USB power banks, so the examiner will be bringing a USB battery pack with them and plugging that in. Now that's great, because I've got a battery pack like that can power the sat-nav about 20 times longer than the built-in battery can, so there's going to be no problem there. I suppose they'll just have ones that can do it for about 10 times as long, and they'll plug them in overnight in the office or whatever and charge them up then, or in the morning before the tests begin. Moving on to the next point now about the manoeuvres. Now, I did say before that we're going to get to drive into a car park of a hotel or a pub or a shopping centre and drive forwards into a bay, but I have revealed now they are going to ask you to go backwards instead, so it could be forwards or backwards. They are actually going to ask you to park in a specific bay as well, so the examiner will point out exactly which bay they want you to use. That's going to be quite fun, because I know from doing art lessons with pupils it's really hard to point out an exact bay. You say that one by the lamppost, well, that lamppost, no, that one, no, what, this one, no, that one, no, that one, this one. It's really hard to actually point out an exact bay. If you say the third bay along, pupils often say, does that include the disabled one? And you say, yeah. So you mean the fourth one? No, the third. What, the fifth? No, the second, the third. It can get really confusing trying to pinpoint an exact bay. There's something I've done in the past is I've said, the one where that piece of rubbish is, the one where the crisp packet is. And then what happens? The wind blows a crisp packet down the road. Anyway, don't worry about that. It's worth pointing out they will ask you to go into specific bays, but they have said they won't tell you to go next to another car. They're not going to do it next to other vehicles. I suppose that's just to keep the peace with members of the public who don't want their car risking being hit on the driving test. Now, the show me tell me part, again, the show me is going to be done on the move. We know about that already, but they've said they're going to do what I can do, the show me question, during the sat-nav section. So not really a big surprise, but you might be asked to wash the windscreen, or to operate the horn or whatever during your drive while the sat-nav is being used. Now, most of the other things are the same. The way they mark it, the length of the test is the same, the cost is the same. I think they've kind of missed an opportunity there, because they've often said this. The DVSA themselves have said for many years now that it's a very negative way of marking someone, to mark someone down. I think it would have been nice if they included a new box on the marking sheet where they could have made a note of a few things that people did really well. So they could say something like, your moving off was really good, your parking was good, but it just wasn't so good the way you were speeding towards those lights, that kind of thing. So it would be nice if they included some positive things as well. Now let's talk about why the sat-nav is being included, because a lot of people are getting this wrong. A lot of people are saying they want you to use the sat-nav so you can learn how to use the sat-nav. That's one part of it, of course. But the main reason is actually because now you can travel much, much further afield, much more away from where the test centre is. Now, there are statistics that show most people who have road collisions, most new drivers that have collisions, it mainly happens on high-speed roads, not including motorways. This is just like general high-speed dual carriageways. Now, if you've had lessons with me, you'll know we spend a lot of time on that to try and get rid of that problem. But this is why the sat-nav's been brought in and why the manoeuvres are being changed. We don't really want to have to go around quiet housing estates where it's quite easy. And we don't want people having to do manoeuvres like three-point turns, turning the roads, whatever you want to call it. We don't really want to be doing that. We're trying to get away from the physical skill of driving and much more towards the mental side. This is something I've spoken about in my videos many times before. Whenever people say they're good at driving, you often ask them why, and they say, well, it's easy, I can move, I don't stall, and I'm faster, I can do everything quick. They often don't even think about the mental side of driving. And most new drivers quickly master the physical side, but they don't even start to master the mental side. And that's where most drivers fall down, is the thought process, their attitude, and many other things. So yeah, that's the main changes. I think I've covered most of it there. Just reading through this document now, it does say the examiner will not be using the speedo on the sat-nav, they'll only go by the car speedo. The sound will be turned off for independent driving if you choose to, and if the sat-nav stops working, not that it should, but if it does, then yeah, they'll just carry on giving you directions as normal. So yeah, that's about it. That's a few more changes. If I've forgotten anything, I might put it in the description below, so please have a look at that, or check out the page on my website. That'll be the best way of keeping up to date with it. Now, like I said earlier on, this is not actually a new test at all. I've been doing it now for 2 years. And there is actually another new test which is going to be coming in probably around 2020. So the year 2020, the test is changing again. How? Well, it's just been formed at the moment. Nothing's definite, nothing's guaranteed. But from next year, 2018, learners will be allowed on the motorway. So it's been suggested that maybe the motorway could form part of the driving test. Again, there are problems with that, like not everyone lives by a motorway. Like if you're in Cornwall, Scotland, you may have to travel a long, long way just to get to a motorway. So yeah, that's all for now, but there is another new test coming in a few years. Nothing new, it always changes every few years. We've got self-driven cars coming in. It has been announced that maybe self-driven cars will have to take a driving test themselves. Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? But I have said each individual car that's produced by a factory may have to be given a driving test before it can be released to the public. So in the future, who knows, my job might change from teaching people to just sitting in a car. I'd give it a test, they'll say, no, that car's failed. Next one, that car's passed. That might be what my job becomes in 10 years' time. Who knows? But anyway, I'll be doing more videos about self-driven cars in the future because I've got a lot to say about those. But for now, thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe for more information. I normally release 2 or 3 videos a week. And hit the notification button if you haven't done so already, so it tells you when all my latest videos are coming out. But thanks for watching. I will see you again soon. Got lots more videos coming at the end of the year. So yeah, see you soon for more videos.